Good afternoon, good evening. Wanted to work through an issue situation that I received from Miss Beth Ferguson about how to do service quotes for rental pieces of equipment and how to calculate the cost. This is in reference to when we have a new rental that comes out where the customer after our billing meeting, we want to provide them the quotes for service and how much it costs. And this is how you calculate this. This tool is only for when power equipment is going to be the one that services these rentals, which is normally within areas where they're within our APR. And it's a unit where we've already identified, and it's in MaintainX, what the maintenance intervals are and what parts that need to be used. So we'll do that on the back half to show where you find the parts pricing information, what parts go on the units. But for right now, we'll figure out how much is the labor and the travel and the mileage going to be charged. So for example, in this situation, these services are broken down by 1,000, 2,000, 4,000, and 8,000 hour services. And in this instance, we'll show you how we calculate how much the hourly charge, the travel charges, and the mileage for what we need to add from a labor line item on top of the parts. So for example, if we're quoting a customer a 100 horsepower machine and we need a 1,000 hour service, we go to the 1,000 hour service and the 100 horsepower section, and we notate that it's 5 hours at $150. So we're going to add up a total of $750 for the typical hours and the charge for the labor to do that service. And then in the next section, we're going to be going over here and we're going to be looking at the hours that it takes from travel time. So you want to count this from depending upon where it is, we want to either charge it out of Memphis or Little Rock or out of Shreveport, Louisiana, depending upon where it's the closest to the customer. So in this situation, let's say that it's Little Rock, so we'd find the distance from between Little Rock and the customer site, and we would multiply those hours times 2 to get round trip for the amount of labor, the travel time it costs for us to go to the customer and come back home. And we calculate that from coming out of the office. And then we charge that by $150 an hour, which is our labor rate for the travel time. And then we'll grab the mileage and multiply it times 2 from there and back to the customer, and we charge $2 a mile. And as that totals up, that gives you the total amount of labor, travel, and mileage charges that we should charge the customer for a 1,000 hour service. We do the same thing for a 2,000 hour service. If you were needing to build up a quote for a 2,000 and a 4,000 and an 8,000 hour service. So as you can see, these hours increase as the service becomes more intense and there's more moving parts to the situation. And that's how you calculate your labor line item for those. Next section is how do we find these in MaintainX. MaintainX is our platform that we use for rental maintenance. So in the situation that we mentioned above, we were using a 100 horsepower machine. So we will reference another machine that's 100 horsepower. You go into MaintainX and you will scroll down here to the parts list, or in this situation, this is the list that we normally use where all of our parts pricing is, or what services and parts need to be used. In this case, we look at the situation and it shows that at a 1,000 hour service, these are the line items for parts that needed to be had, and then we would add that labor line item that we talked about on the last page. And the 4,000 hour, we would need these parts, and an 8,000 hour, we would need these parts, and we would add the labor depending upon what service we were going to use. Thanks so much, and appreciate your time and effort.